All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome to the Almost Awesome podcast. I know you missed us last week, but we're here now, and that's all that matters. We're here with episode 38 with my special guest, Tonica.
Yo,
Tonica
what's up?
Mercado, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. Feeling a little chilly, being shirtless and all. But with that in mind, as is usual tradition with our Almost Awesome podcast, I know we haven't had a guest in a while, so some of you may be a little new to some of our traditions here. But here on the podcast, we allow our guests to pick our theme, our dress theme for the show. And Tonica, your theme of choice was festival wear.
Yep.
Now, was there a specific reason that you decided to go with festival wear?
So before it got postponed, I was supposed to be arriving from Coachella earlier this week, but that's a no-go. But trying to live through still feeling it, even though I'm not there and it hasn't happened.
Well, I know some people are doing like virtual concerts where they'll just have I know some people will like host like different DJs to just like play music like online for people, which is kind of cool. So at least like it's not like people are devoid of that musical experience. Obviously, it's gonna be very different because you're hopefully at home,
It's
safe,
like a
away
silent
from
disco,
everybody.
basically.
Yeah. But speaking of like, you know, the current situation and things that are going on, that brings us to our usual question of the month. And this month's question is, what are you up to? What are you doing to keep yourself busy during the quarantine?
Well, I mean, I'm still working, so I guess like 5 out of the 7 days is work. And I just moved recently, so I've just been really busy, like just trying to settle in and like get my room, everything set up. But that happened really quickly. And then hobbies that I've been trying to pick up for a while, but just haven't, like this is the time. Because I literally sit here when I'm not working and I'm not moving. I'm just like, what do I do? So
Yeah.
I've just been like, I picked up hooping,
Oh,
with like hula hoops, things like that. But
true.
other than that, no, that's pretty much it.
Nice. So like you've had a fair things to keep yourself like busy. You're not like me where I'm just like bored at home
Twiddling my
trying
thumbs.
to do
No,
this
I
weird.
just like
Yeah.
life has been going for me still.
Nice.
So
True. Well, glad to know that you're doing well. You're safe and healthy. I hope. Fingers crossed. Um, but to jump into tonight's topic, tonight we're gonna be talking about like dating and like the dating experience and things like that. And it was funny. So a bit of like breaking news to kind of help us like jump right into um the topic itself. So recently I was talking to this girl on Bumble, and we were kind of like going back and forth and whatever. I was like, I guess in my head I was like, I don't know I don't know if I should be like on dating apps right now because like we can't really be going out. Places aren't really like open. Like I don't know if like you're asymptomatic and you're just not showing symptoms and you may have you may be infected and then I catch it from you. Also for them, they don't know the same thing about me. So I'm just like, okay, so how is this really gonna work? But I said, fuck it, like worst case, you're practicing the game, you're talking to people, you're getting yourself out. So I was talking to this girl and um yesterday I didn't hit her up. I was kind of like preoccupied with some other stuff. And I was gonna respond to her today, and then she ended up deleting her profile. I was like, wait, what happened? Did I miss the window of opportunity because I didn't respond?
extremely scared her off the app.
Yeah, like I was like, dang, okay, maybe she found somebody else. All right, good for you. But like, um, I guess one thing that's always kind of bothered me is like the stigma of like response time. So like messages. Like Um, people have told me like you don't want to respond too quick because you don't want to seem like overeager and all that stuff. And a part of me is like, I guess I kind of get it, but I know for me, it's weird for me because when I get a message, like I want to reply, I want to respond to it right away. Like if I'm not busy, if I'm not doing anything, if I can respond to it, I'm going to. Because most times, if I don't, I'm gonna forget about it. So for me, it's just like automatic. Like I'm not gonna say I'm not thirsty, but I'm not that thirsty where I'm just like, oh girl. But like
Letting it
it's
out.
yeah. Like, but for me, it's kind of just like it is it really like do girls really see that as like, oh, he's responding too quick to things? Like, is that like a real thing?
I think for some girls it is because they like to play that game. But like me personally, I'm the type like if I read it, I need to respond or I'll forget.
Hmm.
And then you're just left on red for who knows how long. So I'm like, oh crap, I need to respond to that. So I think a lot of girls I know don't really like they won't that's not a thing for them. It's just like respond when you respond. Convenience, that's really it mostly, I feel like.
True, true. Because I was worried. I was like, I don't know if uh Bumble shows that you saw and read the message. Because to be fair, I did. And I was like, you know what? Let me just put it off. Let me just like put it on pause for a bit and I'll respond like later. And I kind of just forgot and I was gonna respond like earlier today. And then I looked and she deleted her profile. I was like, what did I do? I fucked up.
Or maybe it's because like I can't even like talk to her or like hang out with anyone like in this quarantine time. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
it's
That's
hard
what I thought
for
too.
sure.
But this is where people who know me enjoy these sort of things. I get into like my head about these conspiracy theories. I like deep I've dived deep down into like a rabbit hole of like, oh, there's a reason for this and this action, blah blah blah. But like, cause she left me off with just um, like I was just trying to ask her like, oh, so what are some things that you're interested in? Like, tell me a bit about yourself. Um, and then like she basically was just like, oh, I'm into like cooking. I like going to the beach, but there's a lot more to me, and you'll just have to find out later. I was like, okay,
Or you could just tell me now, like,
but I can't anymore
okay.
because she deleted her profile.
Uh,
But I do have a way I could talk to her. But I would have to jump onto another dating app because she liked me on another dating app, but that app I have to pay for, and it's
oh,
expensive.
dang. That's also that might be a little creepy for you to be like, I remember
Yeah,
you. Let me
yeah,
like
yeah,
hunt you down. That's
yeah,
like
yeah.
not really stalking because she like put herself out there already, but
Yeah.
like
I was
you're
just like, oh, fuck it. It was done. It's done. Um, but I guess like while we're on um the same like overall like kind of topic of like things to do and things like not to do. And I know that everybody kind of has their own sort of personal preferences when it comes to dating or looking for a relationship, right? So I'd like to kind of put a disclaimer out there that we're not saying like, oh, these are the hard written rules of dating, the do's and don'ts, and what you should and should not do.
dude,
Um,
this will happen now. Definitely
yeah,
not.
like I could say that for some of my friends, persistence is key, and that's how they're with their girlfriends, their fiancés, their now wives, which is kind of like I'm like, what? That worked? You being persistent, you bugging a girl and, like, almost begging them constantly to go on a date with you, like, that worked? That's, like, an actual viable method, but, like I said, like, everybody has their own sort of likes, dislikes, um, I guess where I'm going with this is that the name of the game is, like, playing to your strength, right? Being able to show off, like, the best you that you could be to hopefully be appealing to someone else. And
I
it's also
mean,
like a
it's not also just that though. Not just like appealing to others, but also kind of finding your preferences in who like what you like too. So
mhm, which is something like I recently came to like a realization of that where like when I think about like my type of girl that I'm looking for, like honestly, I don't really know. Like if like you were to ask me like straight up like what's your type of girl? Like I give you some base like the usual basic stuff like she's nice, she's smart, she can be like independent, but she doesn't mind spending time with me. Like kind of like basic stuff like that. But nothing when I think about it, like I guess I don't know. I wouldn't be able to pinpoint like specific things that I'd be looking for. And I think that's like part of it is because like I haven't dated enough to really be able to pinpoint like these are the things I like, these are the things that I don't really like. I guess like these are my flags. Um but it's rough out there. Like I guess there are like I feel like I'm gonna sound so old saying this, but like I feel like when you're in school, like for example, like when you're back in like a high school or like taking classes like on campus, right? You're you're like constantly surrounded uh by people, by peers, by people most likely your age. Like if you're taking classes, they're gonna be kind of into the same thing, whether you're taking classes out of interest, it's your major. So you already have like a conversation point, I guess I could say. A relatable conversation point, right? Um But then after that, you kind of just like shoot in the dark and you just kind of hope that like you find something that clicks with someone else. Um and for me, I kind of I guess I kind of take it personally where um in my head when I don't like click with someone else, I immediately go to me and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not interesting enough. What could I have done to make myself more appealing, more interesting to this person?" I don't take into account that, maybe they're just not into me or into the things that I'm into.
mhm.
But like I guess it's also weird because I'm just as lost as I feel like a lot of other people are. Like
Which
just
is
trying to
fair.
figure out like
Yeah.
what you want, which is important, right?
Hmm.
Um but I guess to kind of put us back on point, um what are what are some like do's and don'ts for guys? Like, what are some things that you wish guys would do more, or something like guys do too much of, and you're like, this is more of an annoyance than it is something like appealing.
I guess it's a little hard. Because I feel like I'm a very laid back person in general. So a lot of things like don't bother me unless I don't know. Like the most obvious thing is if you're like just really obnoxious in like a public area where I'm like, hey, you should be respecting the space. Like things like that where like we go out to a bar or something and they're like yelling at the top of their lungs. That personally I'd be like, can you be a little mature and not like yell like
Mhm,
you're disturbing others, things like that.
mhm.
But I don't have like specific quirks or things, I guess, that you should do or don't do. Just I don't know. It's a little.
Because I
Trying to
guess
think.
it's weird because I'm trying to think of it too of just like, um, what about a guy that's too touchy? I guess what would be the point where it's just like you're trying too much to? to like get close to me and touch me. And I'm not saying that like in like a purely like sexual way, like
Mhm.
where it's just inappropriate touching, but it's just like
You're just like a little too close to my bubble type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I feel like if they've kind of turned their back to you, or like I feel like when someone's like kind of putting a wall in front of you, or like they just don't like something. I feel like that's a people have it should be a it's known. Like you just know when someone like okay, they're clearly not interested. Like if you do it like more than 2 times, like 3 times, I think that's a little too much.
True.
To the point like, hey, they're like, hey, can you rescue me? That's when you know you've gone like too far.
Okay, okay. Makes sense, makes sense. Because I guess for me, I've fallen into like the opposite uh of where I guess um it's like I'm not dense to like the negatives. Like obviously if I'm making a girl feel uncomfortable, it's easy for me to read that like right away. Where it's
Hmm.
just like, okay, whatever it is I'm doing, I need to stop it, I need to change it. But I tend to not realize when a girl's into me because I actually don't know the reason. I was gonna say because of this, but like I guess like for my I guess my dating experience where it's happened a couple times where like I'm having a good time. We're on a date and like it ends up like getting like super late and we're still hanging out, we're still chilling. We're having a good time. And for me, I'm just like I guess for me, I'm just like, oh, she's just cool. She just wants to hang out. Like it's it's almost just like hanging out with the boys. Like we're just like a cool hangout. I don't read any more kind of into it. But then afterwards, when I think back retrospectively, I'm like, yo, when you're hanging out with a girl till like 4 a.m., like that doesn't really happen on the norm.
Yeah, that's true. 4 a.m. That's like 4 a.m. I'm like, dang, you might as well have just. No, I'm just kidding.
I might as well have just gone over to her place, right? No, but
Maybe,
like it.
I mean, it could be like that, or I mean, maybe she really enjoyed the time and really enjoyed the conversation, but didn't want to like end it at the same time, or didn't know how to end it too.
Oh man. Um, I like to think that I like to be easy on myself and think that that's what it is. Is just oh they also were just having a good time, but it's not ever like that. It's almost been every time where I'm like, man, you're so dumb. How did you not see this? But I guess granted too, most times it's there's a lot of drinking involved, and yeah, let's just leave it at that. Um, but like I guess like even after going through those experiences, like I've been starting to create like a mental note in the back of my mind of um like going into like a date, especially from like dating apps, right? Where it's pretty clear as to you're here to go on a date, right? You're not here to like mingle as friends, you know. You're just like acquaintance. Um so I've been starting to make sure I keep that in the back of my mind where it's just like, oh, we're here we're here like on a date, right? Keep keep that game plan in mind and like don't forget don't be scared to make a move. I think that's my big thing is that I get very nervous, I get very scared, which is why I lean to drinking to kind of like ease my nerves, but then drinking just amplifies that. So I drink more to stop it and it's just like shit.
I mean, I guess you from the beginning, it sounds like you put a lot of pressure on yourself by like classifying this is a date.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, in her perspective, she could be like, oh, a date is getting to know someone, so you don't need to put like those high expectations on yourself, or you're assuming she has expectations for you as well. It could be like oh, he's cool. Maybe I can get a better feel for him if I meet him in person, and then from there, I'll decide like if I want to continue talking or meeting up with him. Versus like, on the first date, uh, you are doing all these things, and she's like, "Oh, are you being yourself?" Basically, if you
Mm,
aren't being yourself, then it's already, I feel like, kind not game over necessarily, but you put yourself like not in the red, but you definitely you're pulling yourself back by not being yourself in the first place.
yeah, it's like you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage because
Mhm.
like if you portray like a character or like let's just say like the first 3 dates and then on like date 4 you're you're like, "Oh, I'm comfortable enough that I can finally be myself." And you're completely different, then it's just like for the
I'm
other
like,
person, it's
who
just like,
are
"Who
you?
the yeah, who the hell
Who
is
I've
this?
been
Now we're
talking to
starting
the whole
over."
time.
Yeah. Um, so that's also a good point where it's like be honest and kind of be true to who you are, right? Where like it's it's not so much of like you want I'm trying to find the proper way to phrase this, where you want to be you wanna be honest and show off who you are, but at the same time, you don't wanna be like, "Hey, here are my good parts, and here are all of my bad parts as well. This is
Mhm.
the entire package you're getting." Like, I guess the way I see it is it's almost like an Amazon review or a product review of something that you'd buy online, right? Where you don't you don't wanna showcase all the bad stuff.
Mhm.
You wanna, like, show off all the good stuff, and the bad stuff kinda comes along with it, right? You don't wanna straight up be like, "Oh, here's all my emotional baggage
This is the list.
as you meet me."
My pros and cons. Like, no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I feel like with dating in general, or meeting up with people, uh, you do want to showcase your good points, and then naturally, the more you meet them, they will see those bad points through like everyday actions, everyday decisions that you make, and then either they really don't like it, and then that's when they stop, or they continue and they learn, or they get used, not necessarily used to it, but they are accepting, or they you guys grow off of each other, or you learn off of each other.
Mhm. Right, 'cause it takes time, and, like, no one's perfect, so everyone's gonna have, like, rough edges and corners and little quirks of theirs, um, that may not be classified as a positive. Um, but you kind of like it's like you grow to learn to, like, I guess, accept them, and I guess at the same time also try to help them smooth it out. I know I think I think Tati mentioned it one time where it's like, um, because I think I talked about it before about, like, finding a partner where, um, like, a lot of people I guess, like, for me, I was always taught under the impression that you wanna find someone to complete you. Like, you wanna find, like, your other half, right? Um, but we need to come to the understanding that you yourself as a person, as an individual, you're already complete. The partner that you find, your partner in life is they should be there to, like, complement you and also help you become better.
Yes.
Um, so I think that's something to keep in mind. Where it's like I guess one of my friends pointed out to me where, um, like, I've been brainwashed by, uh, romantic comedies and Disney movies and all these ideas and thoughts of love, right? Where, um, it's all like these fantasies, these ideals that won't ever they won't ever really happen in real life. It could happen, but probably if we're gonna be honest, those situations probably don't happen.
It's like a 1% chance.
Yeah. But getting out there and trying to date is definitely like a huge wake up call. Uh, and it's rough. I know. I guess for me personally, like even like talking about like going on dating apps and all this stuff like that. Um, one of my other friends would bring it up, and he was just like, "Man, it sounds like whenever I talk to you, you're always talking to like some other girl on like a dating app, or you have something else going on." And I'm like, "Yeah, because I only talk about those dating app experiences when like I have something going on. I'm not like, dang, I didn't get any hits today. Shit."
Oh. Raining
Yeah.
every day.
But I know like even for me, like on dating apps, like I have my hot days, I have my cold days. Like where like I said, like the girl I was talking to, I thought things were pretty decent, and then she deleted her profile and it was like for me personally, I personally feel attacked. I
I
feel
mean,
defeated. I'm like,
yeah, there could be many reasons why she deleted it. So,
exactly.
and
But like a part of me is just like I'm just like, man, shit. Like I'm at like a low. So I'm just like,
mhm.
okay, maybe I like get off dating apps for a bit and just like just recover. But I know like it goes back to um like talking about like progress and getting better at things, right? You learn from those mistakes, you learn from those downfalls, and then you pick yourself up, you get back out there, you do it again. If that's something that you really want, then you got to throw yourself back out there and do it right. And like you said too, like honestly, like it's probably not my fault. I'll put that out there. It's probably not my fault. If it was, then I'm sorry. But um, but yeah. Um, I guess because I brought this up off the podcast, um, where I guess to kind of again go back to like do's and don'ts of dating and like trying to secure that first date, I should say. Um, I realized this after trying to talk to girls. Um, it's always weird for me to show that like I'm interested in getting to know somebody, at least through text. Like if I were to meet you in person, it's easy for me to show that, like body language wise, tone of voice, all that stuff. But obviously through text, like you could
How
read
you're
it
reading it
however.
might not be how she's saying it, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's like trying to read like an LOL. It's like, did you really laugh, or is this a sarcastic LOL? Like what is this? Um, so like I guess I realized that my in like the world of like digital dating, my text game is like super weak. Like I'm like level 1 fresh newbie in texting. And I don't know, like I guess like one thing I realized too is that like I don't have pickup lines. I don't have like clever I can't think of like clever pickup lines of just like I guess without being weird or creepy. Like I don't have I can't think of like lines to be like, "Hey, I really want to get to know you."
Mhm.
Other than like saying it straight up like that, right?
I mean, you don't need pickup lines. Like, it's not like a must.
Mhm.
Not, she's like, oh yeah, that's such a good line. All right, he's in. Let's
Got it.
talk.
Got me.
Like, you can generally just have like a conversation. But I mean, I'm just like you. I'm actually really awful. A lot of people tell me like your communication's a little weird. I'm like, yeah, it's because I text the way I think, and the way I think is just like all over the place sometimes.
True,
So,
true.
but if you know me, I think you're already used to that. But if you don't, it's just like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about how she talks. So I'm like in the same boat as you. But I already accepted that I suck at communicating. So I like try to play the situation so that I can meet them in person, or that I can't really give you a specific examples, but I just like try to play it kind of in my favor so that I can hide that I'm really bad at texting. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's I know that's something that I've kind of done, like, instinctively, can't talk. Um, I know, like, I'll kinda go through, like, the usual kinda small talk stuff, like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, "What do you do? What are you into?" Stuff like that, and then once I feel like that initial momentum of the conversation is dying down, I'll immediately be like, "Hey, do you wanna go out and, like, get a drink somewhere?" Um, just because I feel like going out and, like, meeting a person is more of my comfort zone, even though before I said, like, I get, like, super nervous meeting people and
And
doing all that
that's
stuff.
basically what dating is. Like you play to like your strengths and you use those strengths to like not I was gonna say entice her, but that's not like really the word to use. But you know what I mean.
It's like you use your strengths to, like it's like you wanna show off so then the other person's interested in getting to know you, right?
Show off your
Because
strengths,
obviously
but like be true to yourself so that she can see or he like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I'm into that, or they like something grabs their attention that they want to continue to
mhm.
talk and meet up with you.
It's like a humble brag, right? Where it's
Yes.
like you wanna show off, but you also don't want to, like, gloat and kind of, like, be rude and
That's a big
obnoxious
don't,
about it,
by the
right?
way.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, yo, this is how much I make, this is what I do. I'm like, okay, well, nice.
Cool. Um,
And basically.
so I guess, like, the kind of 2 big key things that we kinda talked about so far was, like, um, being honest to yourself and, oh my gosh, sorry, I got distracted by something else. Be honest be honest to, like, who you are and play to your strength, right? Um, I guess 3, and don't be I guess this it should be common sense, but don't be rude. Don't be rude, don't be obnoxious. If that's your character, then
Should be common
I
sense.
guess you just gotta own it, right? Be a douchebag. The douchebags get love too, so, you know, you never know. But as long as you are true to who you are and you play towards that strength, you know, you do you. Can't hate on that. Um, I guess so I guess one thing, because I know I struggle with this specifically. So, um, obviously, kinda getting to the part of getting to a date is hard enough, where, you know, dating apps, you have to find the match, you have to start the conversation, then kinda figure out, like, um, when to ask them out on a date. Um, but that's only part 1. Part 2 starts where you're actually on the date, and what do you do on that date? Because this is something that I also struggle with, where, um, dates that I've been on no, I'll do we start with the cringe stuff? Okay, we're going with it, okay. Um, one of like it was funny because I went on, like, multiple dates with this girl, and, um, she was, like, a foodie, so she knew, like, her food places and whatnot. Um, so when I first, like, asked her out on a date, I asked her, like, "Hey, do you wanna go" I picked, like, some really basic place. I was just like, do you wanna go to this burger place? Get some burgers, get some beers, and, like, chill." You guys know each other? And then she gave a recommendation. She's like, "Oh, do you wanna try this place or whatever?" I was like, "Okay, sure." I've never been there, so I was like, "Cool." Um, the weird thing is that kind of happened multiple times. I went on, like, 3 dates with this girl where, like, I guess for me, I was just like, I don't know what to do on dates or where to take a girl on a date. As weird as that may sound, like, I guess it's nothing like I don't think of anything like a special place or whatever. Like, I guess for this girl, she kinda knew, like, what she was into, obviously. So, like, she she would end up, like, picking a place and, like, things to do. So, like, we would eat at, like, this ramen place that I've never been to, and then, afterwards, we would end up going to, um we went to, like, Kegler's one time.
Mhm.
Yeah, we went to Kegler's to, like, play some pool because she's, like, super into pool. Um, but I know, like, after we ate ramen and stuff, she was just like, um she was like, you wanna do anything else after this?" And in my head, like, I was like, "Oh, I mean, we could watch a movie." And then she's like, "Oh," like, I guess, like, we went back and forth, and then like, all, like, the movies that were out, I was like, "Shit, there aren't that many good movies." And I was like, "Fuck it, we'll just see. We'll just shoot in the dark, and we'll see what happens." And she basically said no to all of them, and she's like, "Do you wanna just go, like, play pool?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." So I guess, like, I felt bad that I never had a good suggestion for where to go on the on our dates,
Mhm.
and, like,
Basically,
it
it
was
sounds like she not necessarily planned it, but like she basically made a lot of the decisions.
yes. Where it was just like, I initiated, "Hey, do you wanna go hang out?" But then she was like, "So this is what we're gonna do." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. If that's what you wanna do, I'm down for it."
I mean,
Um,
I think that's okay. I mean, the fact that she didn't maybe like I'm assuming you said every time, the three times
yeah.
that you went on a date, maybe that's
It
a little bit of a like. Did he even try? But I
I mean,
mean,
I did. I wasn't just like, "Hey, you wanna go out?" And, like, leave it at that. I was like, "Hey, do you wanna go get food at this place and, like, do this?"
mhm. But it sounds like she like
Right.
knows herself really well in that situation where she's like, no. So that's like not on you. That's more so she just knows what she likes.
Yeah.
So
'Cause I feel like I guess I would prefer someone say, like, "No, no, I'm not into this,"
mhm.
than to, let's just say, where did I suggest? I'm trying to think of, like, a decent burger place. It's not like I'm trying not to think of, like, a sports bar place. Fuck it. No, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, let's just say, like, "Oh, do you wanna go to Ale House and, like, get a couple drinks?" Um, I'd rather have a girl say, like, "No, I'm not really into Ale House, but do you wanna go somewhere else to do a similar thing?" Like, I'd
Mhm.
rather them tell me no, that they're not into this than force themselves to go to, like, Ale House and then just kind of be annoyed that they're at Ale House because they don't wanna be there.
I guess when in terms of like trying to choose a location, I feel like um you want it to be slightly more elevated than ale house. Not like I'm
Oh,
not
yeah,
saying
yeah.
like
Oh, for sure.
in just general. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they a lot of people like to explore new places and have a reason, and a date is like one of those reasons. Like, oh, I've never been, let's go check it out.
True,
It'll be
true.
new for the both of us. And then you have a conversation right there, like, oh, we like this place, or we don't like this place because.
Or no, it sucks.
Unless it's really bad, then that could just ruin everything. But it could
Yeah.
be a funny point later on.
Mhm. Okay, so that's note taken. Take the risk. Take the risk, go somewhere new, and use I guess this sounds bad, but use the fact that you're going on a date as a reason to go out and try
Yeah,
something these new
I
things.
feel like when you go to a new place, it'll also kind of excite you. Trying something new, you might get nervous, but you're in it together, so
Mhm.
it'll hopefully ease your nerves too.
And, one thing that I heard that was pretty interesting, um, which was like, um, like a way to play to your strength is, like, I guess for me, whenever I think of, like, a date, I think of, going to a restaurant, going to, like, have, like, a meal, dinner, lunch, brunch, whatever. Um, but it kind of like blew my mind where I was watching a podcast where these guys were talking about it, where one of the guys was saying, so I started taking girls out to places where like you have to move and be like active and do things because like I like kind of being up and moving and like doing things instead of just being stationary and sitting. Because you can still talk, you can still have like food, you can still have drinks at like a place, for example, like a bowling alley. But at the same time, you're like you're up, you're moving. I mean, I don't know. I don't think girls get turned on by a guy who bowls well, but
You
there's
never
still like
know.
a sense of you never know. There's a sense of like physicality of like, like getting up, moving around, and like even like you can even one of the guys on this podcast I was listening to even mentioned like you can even like kind of use that as a way to get like physical with the person you're on a date with. Like, for example, like you're like let's just say you're playing pool, right?
Mhm.
And let's just say the person that you're with doesn't really know how to play pool. Then you can get close to them and be like, "Oh, this is how you hold this is how you hold the stick. This is how you aim properly and do like they're like little cutesy things that you can do to kind of get close to the person as opposed to when you're just like sitting down like at a restaurant, right?
It feels more formal when it is stationary and you're like face to face and you literally just like, all right, I guess we have to go through the list of conversation. Like,
Mhm.
hi, this is what I do. What about you? Like, it's just more back and forth when it is stationary versus if you, yeah, if you do something that's a little bit more active, I guess like playing pool, you could like rock climb. You could, I don't know. I'm trying to think what we could do here. Take them to like tree trek where you're like climbing trees, things like that. It'll if you're able to show them. In general, people get more comfortable when they're learning, unless it's something really stressful, like we're gonna race cars, like that. That's like extreme. But if it's something a little bit more like fun, then I feel like you as the person who asked them out and helping them learn something is also it's like you're in your zone, so
Mhm.
you're comfortable showing them without being like obnoxious. Like this is all the things you can do. So I think that is a good point. Doing uh,
Like
dates that
actual
are more
activities.
activity wise. But going back on that, when you were talking about the girl that you went on 3 dates with
Mhm.
and how you gave like an option,
Mhm.
but she said no. I think one way to counteract that is if you kind of have like two plans and like kind of let her decide. So it's like you're letting her decide, but you've already planned it. Like, hey, we
It
can go to this place and it has like this feel, or we can do this and and you explain it, and then you let her decide, and then she kind of feels more comfortable with the idea versus like, hey, we're gonna do this, and then she's like, okay, I'll meet you there, and then it's a little more nerve wracking, I guess.
that's well, I guess because for me that kind of struck like a chord with me because I know I tend to be indecisive, but I can also be very flexible. I'm open to like doing doing whatever. Um so what was I gonna say? So like when it comes to like I don't remember where I'm going with this. Sorry. Something completely something external completely threw me off. Um my gosh. You know what? Fuck it. I, I can't like my brain literally turned off. Um oh, there it is. Got it. See, once I give up at a point, it'll come back to me right away. Um like trying to be specific with like picking like a date and a place to go. Um I know for I guess for me, like I always hate it when like I give options to a girl and they constantly say no to things. So I'm like, "How about you pick? You pick a place that you wanna go." And then like, "Well, I don't know." Stuff like that.
I guess
Um,
from the beginning, then not even like you pick a place, but you kind of have like set a theme, like, oh, do you want
Mm,
to go eat? Do you want to be active? Do you want to drink? Like, you have to be more general. And then, like, when she decides, like, oh, yeah, let's, like, go out to drink, then, because you like to drink, or you like to go to a bar, I should say. Uh, it sounds like from, like, your first dates just to help ease you when you drink a little. So I feel like you could be, like, very more general and then kind of zone in when she, like, makes a decision, like, oh, yeah, like, let's go to a bar and like, meet up or try somewhere new, and then I guess from there you kind of pick two options, like, oh, we can try somewhere new, like this bar or this bar, and then,
okay.
like, for me, when I, like, make plans or anything in general, I'll research it, and I'll be like, oh, this sounds cool, like, I think they'll like it, and then I, like, send photos. Well, like, I don't send photos, I'll, like, send a link or something, like, of their
Right, where they can
Instagram.
look it
Yeah,
up
I'm
if
like, oh
if
yeah,
they
like,
want to
these are
figure
kind
it
of
out.
cool, do you want to check them out? And then you, like, again, she, like, decides, and then it's more comfortable for her or him, um when they kind of have that decision at the same
Okay.
time as well.
Okay, that's good to know. That's something that is kind of a that's a game changer. Game changer for me.
Yes,
Where like
I'm helpful.
this whole thing has been helpful. It's nice to be able to like talk about this and even just like get off my chest like where oh, is am I playing the game right? Where it's just like, man, I don't know what I'm doing and like sometimes
You're
things
playing
start
it
sometimes
better
things
than a
don't.
lot
It's
of
like
others, so
perfect.
at least you're in the game. There's people who have just given up, so
Yo, I'm about to give up.
don't give up, you can do
I
it.
can't. I can't yet. I can't yet. This is something that I want. I gotta get my feet wet. But like
You're there, you're dipping your toes in. You're definitely dipping your toes in, so it's okay.
it's tough.
You're just like
I'm like it's cold. I want to be in the water. Um,
push you in.
but that's cool though. Like to think of like I guess I never really thought of kind of thinking of like a theme for like a date or like things to do
Mhm.
or things that like I'd want to do to get her
It should be fun
to
for
join me
you
with.
too. That's
Hmm.
basically what dating is, just like doing fun things with someone and trying to learn about them. And then hopefully you have some more interest than, like, or more similarities than not, that it goes on to other things.
I know because I guess this is a weird trait of mine. This is another. This ended up happening in on one of my other dates where, um, like we just didn't click, right? Where,
Mhm.
um, like I guess when I think back on it, like I think it would have been cool to go on like another date with this girl, um, because I for me I feel like I'm like a slow grow on people. Like it kind of takes time to get to know me and like my quirkiness and like all these other things. And it's hard for me to kind of like find that perfect storm to showcase like, oh, this is who I am in like the first like one or two dates. And it's just weird with online dating where that first date is kind of like the make or break point. Where if you don't show enough like appeal to the other person, then it's kind of like, well, am I gonna go out on another date again? Or am I gonna go out on another date with this person? So like with this girl, like she was cool. I mean I was definitely like super nervous. Like she ended up talking about like her other relationships or like her past relationships. And like one of them was like an Olympic athlete or something. And I was just like, man, what the
Oh,
fuck? I was like, dang, that's my competition. How the hell am I gonna compete with that? I was like, I go to the gym, but nowhere near the fucking Olympics. Shit. Um, but like we just didn't click. And I know for me, like I was like, okay, maybe we just didn't talk about the right things. Maybe it wasn't the right place, the right time, whatever. Um, so even though I felt like the date didn't go well, it didn't go bad either, I would say. Um So at that point, I know I asked, I was like, "Hey, do you?" I asked her like later on. It's like, "Hey, do you want to go out? Are you busy this weekend? Do you want to go out and try this again?" She was nice enough to tell me that no, she has plans and it just didn't click, and we're not
I
gonna see each
mean,
other.
that's
I was like,
the
okay, cool.
basis of dating it, or not even that, just like meeting people or making friends. That's you're not gonna click with everyone. Not everyone's gonna like you. There could be like something like, I just don't like the way he looks. I don't want to be his friend, or like, like people just have opinions. People, you can't appeal to everyone. And that's just like something you have to realize and just like not necessarily get over, but it shouldn't weigh you down. Like, okay, that didn't click, but like, is it me? Or like, it just happens. Like, do you like every ice cream flavor that you eat? No, probably not.
Yo, you don't know me.
Do you
No,
know?
that's true. Because I know I'm definitely on the spectrum where I'm like, fuck, it's me. Or like I tend to forget that obviously, like, there are millions of people here on the planet. Like everyone's gonna have like their own combinations of like personalities, traits, qualities, all that stuff. And like you said, like you can't expect to be appealing to every person. Um and like I guess like I get that defeatist mentality where it's just like, dang, I wasn't ever good enough. I wasn't appealing enough. I wasn't interesting enough. I wasn't all this. But I think I need to kind of change that. Like I guess like it's not bad to like have the mentality of what could I have done better? But I also shouldn't beat myself up where I'm just like, okay, I need to get off dating apps because I'm not appealing. Period. I'm not appealing because I wasn't appealing to person A, B, you know? And just kind of like keep that in mind that you can't appeal to everybody, but that doesn't mean you're not appealing.
Hmm. And that's, yeah, again, that's, you're trying to just find the someone who is into you without you having to change or not, or you forcing yourself in any way. But I feel like at the root of that is just, you just gotta be confident in like what you do and like the decisions you make when it comes to like talking or choosing a date place, and just be like, it's not me. Or I mean, unless it really is you. But Mark, knowing you, it's probably not you. You
So
just need to
you're
be
telling
more
me
confident.
you're telling me not to tell girls to meet me up at Ale House. No, to put
All
it out
right.
there, I have not ever asked a girl out on a first date to go to Ale House, okay?
Okay, I'm like,
I'm putting that out
put it
there.
out
I
right
haven't. I
now.
haven't. I'm I'm a little bit better than that, okay?
But yeah, yeah, just be confident in like the decisions you make, and yeah, just don't like let them weigh you down, because again, you can't appeal to everyone.
That's true, that's true. Man. Okay, so we went through I know it was kind of like kinda jumbled and there's like a lot of things to um kind of touch and talk about. Um but if we're to like kind of wrap it all up, um kind of like some of the big points that we talked about. Um like I guess like the big things were like be honest to yourself. Be honest with yourself, right? Um like don't be afraid to be like who you are. Like it's I feel bad for saying this. It's fun to like play a character. Like cuz like when you think about it like this person's never met you. You could be whoever you want to be, right? Um but you also don't want to be just like super fake and then end up changing all of a sudden like the
I
next.
mean, it just depends on what your end goal is. I mean, if you're just trying to have fun, then okay, have the character. But if you're like really trying to meet someone, then don't have the character. Be
But
yourself.
but I think that's also a point of like being honest. Like being honest to yourself and like what do you want? And I think as well, this is important is making sure I guess making sure both parties kind of clarify like what are they looking for in like meeting and dating and like using the dating apps, whatever. Um, so be honest, be true, be confident, have
Have
faith in
fun.
like, yeah, have fun, have a good time. Um, have a good time, but don't have too much fun, get too drunk, like I do plenty of times. Remember, moderation. Ooh, oh no. We're not gonna touch that. We're not gonna touch that. Sorry, I was gonna go off on another point, another tangent, but the reason why I'm trying to wrap things up a bit is because we are already out of I feel like this happens in every podcast where we kind of like get the ball rolling, and before we know it, like it's done, and we gotta start heading out of here. Um, but we talked about some cool things where we talked about you know we
More
stressed a
active.
lot. We stress a lot, like just
Mhm.
being honest, being true, being confident, and things to do on a date, right? Like obviously, don't be rude. Figure out like a game plan of like where you want to go. And like you said, like the important thing is like have have fun. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that you become a nervous wreck and you're jittery. Because then that will show as like your character. That's kind of like who you are to this person that you're meeting for the first time. So go out there, go have fun. Don't beat yourself too hard. Because we're all beautiful in our own ways. Um, but that's gonna be about it for tonight's podcast. Hopefully, you guys and gals out there can take some advice from us. I know it was kind of like a big, mumbled, jumbled mess, but I think we had some really good points to talk about. If you miss things, watch the podcast. Watch it many times. Watch it however many times you need to on different accounts. Hit the like button as many times as you need to, or dislike, comment, subscribe. Let us know. Let us know your thoughts. If you got tips to help me or Tonica out in our dating lives and improve them, hit us up. Um, but as usual, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoy the new kind of direct approach for these podcast episodes. I know we wanted to be more direct, and this podcast seemed a bit of a mess. But dating is like it's a huge thing. Like I could go on for like hours. I could go on for days talking about my mess of a dating life. Because if you know me, you know shit's wild. Uh, but thank you guys for tuning in. Tonica, thank you for stopping by. Thanks for talking with me about dating and giving your input about um, you know, do's, don'ts, what to try to focus on, and how to get better at dating. Um, but as is usual, as is tradition with the Almost Awesome podcast, um, we throw it to our guest to close us out. And I know I kind of did like a big long summary, the habit of mine, because I don't know how to end a point. So I'm working on it. But we still allow the guest the last minute to close us out. You can do shouts if you want. Let us know what you're working on, what you're doing, what you got going on in your life. That minute is yours to use as you please. If you want to do a TLDR, hit people with that real knowledge so they have that quick go to 1 minute advice. This is how I step up my dating game. You can use that. But again, the minute is yours to use as you please. Um, Tonica, are you about ready to send us home?
Of course.
Oh, I guess before we do that, let me put my last 5 seconds in. Don't forget to subscribe. We're here every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time for the podcast. That's when we're live. If you can't catch us live, you can watch our YouTube videos later. I love you guys. Tonica, you ready to hit him with the closer?
Got it.
All right. We'll hit him in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thanks again for inviting me to the podcast. It was fun. It's my first time, so I didn't have any expectations. I was a little nervous. I was literally uh, yelling and screaming, setting up. I'm like, what do I do? Where do I set up? But again, yeah, I just want to say thank you. It was a lot of fun. Felt like what we usually do when we hang out, Mark. But more virtual. Just everyone like, subscribe. It's really awesome. There's a lot of good content on the page, a lot of new things that are coming your way. And I guess that's pretty much all I have to say. Have fun. If you need dating advice, don't come to me. You can come to me if you think I can help you. But other than that, that's it. See ya.
All right, we out, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.